Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Juliet Elizabeth and I'm the Indigo Yogini. Today I'm discussing CFS, ME and fibromyalgia. Now, as a lot of you know, I have those conditions. They can sometimes be seen as one condition, two conditions or three conditions. But even people that know me and know other people with either one, other or the whole box set, as I like to call them, even they really sometimes don't know or don't understand. So I felt like it was really important to explain in a really easy, accessible manner for you to understand what those three conditions are and how they affect somebody. Obviously, you look at me and you see me do my inversions, you see me do my makeup tutorial stuff, and you see me do all these other things, and you think, she doesn't look ill. You're right, I don't. I don't look ill. That's part of the problem for people like me or people with the same kind of conditions as I do, because we don't look ill. If we look ill, we are really, really ill. When you look only a little bit ill, that's you're pretty ill. If you don't look ill at all, you might be okay, but you're masking it well. You become a really, really, really massively great performer, and you manage to mask that a lot. But there are simple ways of looking around. If you look around somebody's eyes, if they're pinching them, they're in pain or they're tired. And apart from the fact that as soon as I hit sunlight, as we all know, I go. I also do that when I'm concentrating because I'm in pain. So there's all these things. But I decided I would like to try and explain to make it easy for everybody. So the first thing I'm going to discuss is the CFS. CFS is short for chronic fatigue syndrome. And from what they understand at the moment, it's something to do with the mitochondria not working properly. Your mitochondria are the ones that help you produce energy in your slow twitch muscles. They are the ones that create energy through using oxygen. The other two types don't utilize oxygen the same way or don't utilize oxygen at all. So obviously, with a mitochondrial disorder, that's a big, big one, because that's the one you're going to be using the majority of the time. So the way I like to explain it, people have seen me do inversions, they see me run still, not as far, not as fast, and not as often, but I do still run. I am so stubborn. I did a part-time master's while working full-time, running training, 2 children, 2 dogs, husband, house, and the eventual one, I passed the masters. I also kind of finally destroyed myself. I've had fibro for 20 years, so I kind of completed the box set by doing that to myself. So the way I like to explain it is I have currently an iPhone 7, and because I record on it like I'm recording on it now, it's a little bit like the battery drains so much faster now. So whereas it used to last, maybe a day and a half, now it doesn't even quite last the day, and that's a good day. There are other times I have to go plug it in. So for instance, before I started, because I've used it a lot today, it's been on charge 3 times just to get me to the point where I can record on it again. So everything works on my iPhone. Everything functions, all the apps work, I can record on it. I can even use the iMovie, which is a really thirsty app, but I have to be aware that it will drain a lot faster and I have to plug it in quicker. So it's the same theory for myself. If I'm not really doing anything and I'm not using myself, I might last a whole day. But if I do something really thirsty for energy, like go for a run, or certain types of work in my different roles, they will drain me so much faster and I have to be plugged back in. My only way of plugging myself back in is food and rest. So that would be my analogy for CFS. It's like an iPhone with a battery that's failing. You still want to run all the same apps, but to keep it going, you have to regularly plug it back in, and the more you use it, the more you have to plug it back in. So, and you have to leave it while it's plugged back in for it to rest and recuperate. Yeah, so I'm a bit like an old iPhone. The trouble is, I don't get to upgrade in 6 months. I can't upgrade myself. I'd love to. How do you do that? Okay, so the second kind of condition is the ME, or myalgic encephalomyelitis. Oh my God, I can't even say it. Myalgic encephalomyelitis, just known as ME, so much easier. So this one is your autoimmune system. I liken it to when you were little, if you had a couple of younger brothers. Now, your younger brothers were, if you had naughty younger brothers, my mum did, and they were great. They would get together and maybe they would see the shrub in the garden, you know, my grandfather's prize shrub that he'd been training into a certain condition, a certain look, and one day they would go, that looks like a pirate. Let's go and grab our swords. And they had wooden swords. They went and grabbed those wooden swords and they attacked the pirates. Yeah, the bush didn't survive so well. So that's a bit like my immune system at the moment. It goes, wheat, you look nasty, I'm gonna go and attack you. And off it goes, and I can't eat wheat anymore. I can't eat gluten anymore. I already had a little bit of a problem with it. I had salmonella poisoning at 18 months old, and I was in hospital for a week. I was really poorly, and since then I've been allergic to eggs, understandably. And had a problem with dairy, and as I got older, my dairy allergy, it kind of like faded out as a child and then faded back in again, and I am really, really bad, to the point where I can't take medication with a trace amount of lactose in it anymore, because I'm ill. So that's the kind of level of immune response I get. Yet, like my naughty, well, now uncles, if you asked them to go and do the washing up, they were nowhere to be seen. The job they were meant to be doing, washing up in their case, or in my immune system's case, you know, throat infection, go and fight that, not to be seen, either of them, or like my immune system. So ME is a bit like having naughty, bored little brothers that go off and attack things because they're bored, but won't actually do the jobs they're meant to do, if you get my meaning. So that's my second condition. And my third condition is fibromyalgia, or fibromyalgia as it's also known. I've always called it fibro. It's like tomatoes, I guess. I could well be wrong, and I don't care. But anyway, fibro. Now, fibro's the one I've had the longest. I've had it for 20 years nearly. Yeah, that's shocking, isn't it? Ugh. And it was triggered during my son's birth. So yes, he is nearly 20. That is just, no. Anyway, moving swiftly along. So there are 3 types of fibromyalgia pain. Now, fibromyalgia is all about your nervous system, and your nervous system almost misfiring. It responds or over responds to normal pain stimulus, or thinks that pain, other stimulus is painful when it shouldn't be, or it does some other strange things. So I'm going to explain the 3 different types. So the first type is the hyperalgesia, and this is the amplified pain. It's like somebody gets your iPhone and the sound, and that's your pain, and then they plug it into a stereo and amp up the volume, and then suddenly you've got, oh my God, it's too loud. That's what it's kind of like with my pain. So I will hit myself, bump into a wall. You know, I'm a little bit clumsy actually. So I'll bump into the door, and I don't just have an ow that hurts. It's, oh my God, I've broken my arm kind of pain. It's like, breathe, 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 breathe. And then sometime later, it's still saying, oh my God, I've broken my arm. You think, have I done anything? So because I've had fibromyalgia the longest, I've run 10 miles on a torsion tear because I didn't realise it was there. It was just, oh yeah, that's happened. Oh, it's just like I bumped my arm. And actually my body was saying, hang on a sec, you've got a torsion tear running up from the inside of your ankle round to the front into your shin, and again from your knee round the front into your thigh. I did that in the first 400 meters. tripped over something and I went twisted as I did it. 10 miles later, I ran home. Yeah, that wasn't good. So this is how somebody like me can do themselves a real injury, because you actually just don't know. So that's the hyperalgesia. Then you've got the allodynia, which is in some ways a bit weird. So instead of just normal touch, so if you touch something, that's normally not painful. Well, it might not be painful for you, but if I'm in a flare, oh my God, that is so painful. I've had people touch me and I've leapt as if they've just run fire over my arm instead, because that's how it feels to me. It's so awful. And you just leap about 5 miles that way, and yeah, it's just really strange. So it's a misfire because it's responding to a stimulus. It might be a breeze on your skin. It might be the clothes on your skin. It might be somebody just touching you, and you leap as if somebody has just done the most painful thing on the planet to you. It's ridiculous. So allodynia is really difficult to deal with, because there are days when I put on clothing and I go, nope. Put something else, nope. And one of the reasons we are moving from this house to a much more modern house is cold is painful to me. The house isn't particularly cold. Well, it's definitely not at the moment because it's summer. But at the same time, cold stimuli is incredibly painful. So we are moving to a modern house with the hyper-modern insulation, a much more modern house, so that I get to still walk around in a t-shirt. And it's ridiculous because I'm really into my eco stuff, but there is a point where you need to function, and if I'm kept like that, I am really, really ill. So yeah, I love the snow. I'll go out in it for a little while, but I can't get cold. I have to come back in before I get cold, so I'll have a little play and I'll come back. But that's really, really, and it can put me really back, because if one flares, then the others will go as well, and it becomes a downward cycle, and then you have to kind of zero everything off and then start building back up again. And because I've been ill, obviously my immune system's rubbish, and it's fired the other two, and I'm building back up again. So the last version of the three fibro types of pain is paresthesia, and this one's a little bit weird. So I'll be walking along, or I'll be sitting down, and suddenly one of the things I get is buzzing underneath my skin, and it feels like somebody's running an electric current just underneath my skin. So the skin's there, then there's an electric current, and then there's the rest of me. I'm sitting there and I'm buzzing. It's like, it's not all the time, it's not, overly unpleasant, but it can be incredibly painful depending on the amplitude. But yeah, you're just sitting there and suddenly your skin is buzzing. Lots of little bees. Lots of people call that stinging. That, as I said, for me it feels like when you accidentally kind of run an electric current through your skin. Sometimes that's really, really painful, and then it's, and then other times it's just like when you were a kid and you found something, it was a low amp, and you could sit there and it buzzed through your skin, and you just kind of. So that one can be okay. The worst version of that for me is that I also can get the sensation like somebody is running fire over my skin, and it feels like my skin is burning. Now, your automatic response to being burnt is to pull away, but there's nothing to pull away from. It just feels like somebody is like running fire. If you're lucky, it's just a lighter. If you're unlucky, it's a blowtorch. That one is really, really horrible, and you're like, there is nothing there. Shut up. And there's just nothing you can do about it. An in-betweeny one that can be bad or can be good is like pins and needles. That still comes under paresthesia, but pins and needles for no apparent reason. And I'm not even entirely sure where these type of symptoms fit in, but they are fibro. So it's the waking up in the morning and feeling like you're either coming down with something. So that feeling you used to get when you were coming down with a virus and everything ached a little bit. You think, oh, I don't feel great. Okay, that's actually a pretty normal thing for me these days. I don't tend to wake up without at least that. The worst version obviously is the I've got flu version, where it takes you an hour to get out of bed and get to the toilet. I keep painkillers for the I've got flu version by the side of my bed, because it can take me an hour just to get up, to move, to go to the toilet, which we have an ensuite, and luckily at the new house we have an ensuite, and partly why we chose that house was it had an ensuite, so I could do exactly the same. I don't have to go down the hall to try and make it to the toilet. That one, I find that one really, really hard, because it takes me ages to get going in the morning, and I never was a morning person, but now I'm really, really not. Another version for me that's quite common is feeling like I've got DOMs. So I get them quite a lot in the tops of my arms and the tops of my legs. I get them problems in my shoulders and things as well. And yeah, I haven't done anything. You know, I don't mind a little bit of DOMs if you've done the damage in the first place. Delayed onset muscle soreness, quite normal. Delayed onset muscle soreness when you've done nothing to warrant delayed onset muscle soreness. Why? Why do you have this? I'd love for them to find out, because, you know, that one's not overly pleasant. That's quite a common one. And along with that, you know, I also get like neck ache, shoulder ache. I've got an ongoing back problem that's kind of chronic and gets fired up, so I've got an acute version. And they keep saying they can't find it. And they do wonder if it's like a little something, and then it's hyperalgesia. So they're trying to work out what that is at the moment. I've just been sent to neurology. Well, hopefully they will. I do really want them to, just because this is not pleasant. And it's being in pain is not pleasant. And I am such a freaking grump. You know, other people say, "Oh, Jay, you're so positive. You know, you don't let anything get down." You haven't seen me in pain. Even the doctor got it the other day, and he went, "You don't need to raise your voice." I went, "I'm in pain." 3 minutes ago, he said, "You don't look in pain." And that's what I'm talking about. I don't look like I'm in pain. I don't look like I'm tired. I don't look like I feel ill. The same as for everybody else. And I think I wanted to just kind of share those things with you, because, you know, these are my quick ways of trying to get people that maybe won't have ever experienced it to understand and to kind of visualize or empathize with what somebody with CFS, ME and fibro might be going through. And I hope you liked it. I hope it helped you to understand for, you know, your workmate, for your family member, or even maybe if it's new, you're new to it, for you as well. All I can say, if it is you, is it's not the end of the world. You find ways to work around it as much as possible, and as I'm learning at the moment, sometimes you just have to go, okay, I can't do it, that's it. And I have to say to the family, no, I can't do it, that's it. Time out. I have to put myself in a time out and go splot somewhere and not do anything for a while. I have to plug myself back in and kind of let it all settle back down. And sometimes that means you miss quite a bit of work, which is awful, but necessary. Anyway, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and click the bell so you know every time that I upload a video. And I will, on that somber note, see you on the next one. Bye guys.